Audrey? Hello? She's coming in out there. Okay, hold on. We're working with that speaker. Yeah, hang on. It says on hold.
Juan, are you calling me?
Do we need to move my microphone over there for that?
They weren't calling me.
Is this one down here?
Are you there, Counselor?
I am. I hear it creaky now.
Any better, or is it still?
I can hear it okay. I didn't,
Oh, that's cool.
maybe it's just when I'm talking, there's a little bit of feedback, but I can hear you.
Okay.
A little farther away, maybe. Speak up, Audrey.
Okay, I can barely hear you, Mayor.
Try the new science thing.
I was hearing Juan okay.
All right, Counselor, how about that? Can you hear us?
No, I can hear you, Juan, but I can't hear other things.
Put her on speaker.
Speaker will turn off this.
Oh.
No, you need to, is there a microphone in that thing?
How about now, Audrey? Can you hear us?
Well, no, you took everything off there, Mayor.
How did I do that? Oh. Now can you hear us?
Yes. I can.
We'll try that.
Let's call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico to be a symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Okay, welcome everybody to the regular council meeting of December 19th, 2018, our final meeting of this year. Following the Pledge of Allegiance, the first item is approval of the agenda. Council, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we approve this evening's agenda.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve tonight's agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Discussion. Mayor,
Go ahead.
just wanted to double check that we were still having closed session, or if that needs to be amended.
No, we're going to go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. And I vote aye.
First item up tonight is a presentation. Crow, the Citizens Police Academy graduates.
So we can actually see what we're talking about here. Mayor, council, so just right up here is fine. So as you know, we did our second Citizens Police Academy. Started, help me out here, probably November-ish, yeah. And it was originally scheduled to go 10 weeks. We had a couple of hiccups along the way, had to reschedule some classes, ended up just ending this previous Saturday. So just got done with that. So originally we had a lot more people signed up, but we had 4 that stuck it out and showed up for every meeting just about, with the exception of a few here and there, not a big deal. But just wanted to bring them in, tell them thank you for actually caring about the community, seeing what the police department does, and actually getting a little hands-on insight on what we do. So I want to just say thank you guys for actually attending these meetings, taking them serious, taking the training serious. You're welcome. So I'd open it up, and if you guys would like to say anything or anything to the mayor or council.
Give us your names.
Hello. Oh, don't worry, I'll stand on tippy toes. Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to say we have an amazing police force. They have incredible patience and courage. They had a couple of hands-on things that we tried to do, and I was a miserable failure. I could never do what they do. They're awesome, every one of them.
I'd just like to say thank you for these fantastic people that wear the uniform of the Edgewood Police Department. I learned so much, and I wish every citizen of Edgewood would attend these educational meetings. Thank you so much.
And again, I'll take the opportunity to say thank you to the chief and to the officers who used their time, not off the clock, but they were down there on their hours as well as off hours, trying to help us better understand what it is that they do, whether it's simple care for the community to the dangerous stuff of having to pursue or to take somebody down. And we were given the opportunity to see what that felt like, whether it was a traffic stop to there's an intruder, and how they had to go about doing it. Thank you.
No. That's okay. So nice to have a couple of officers recovering from some simunition rounds that they took, apparently in the back, side, and neck. You know, so it was fun. It's fun for the officers and for the community, we're finding out. So we're already starting to put out for the next class. We have 6 that weren't able to attend this that are interested in the next training. We're going to try to cap it at 10. We don't want too large of a group because then you kind of lose that one-on-one feel or the actual opportunity to participate in the traffic stops, the drills, things like that. So we want to keep them smaller. We got a couple of certificates here. I would love to give them to you right now, but I still need to get them signed. So I will get them signed, and we will have them to you before you're out the door here. So I'll go ahead and sign them. I'll bring them up to you, Mayor, if you don't mind, and then we'll get a picture real quick.
Okay.
Get one there, so let me get these signed.
Mr. Holly, I wanted to thank you. That was a nice letter you put in the paper there about this.
While we're waiting, I'll just say thank you again for offering this opportunity to the citizens. I participated in the first one and thought it was very educational, and it is a tremendous opportunity for our community to know our officers personally and get to know more about the community and the work that these fine people do.
All right. Let's get some photos.
No smiling. It's not allowed. Next item on the agenda then is another presentation, and this one comes to us from the Santa Fe County Assessor's Office. It involves a trick they have that they think would be some use to our community. Got Mr. Gus Martinez, he's our county assessor. Go ahead, Gus.
Thank you guys for having me, Mayor and Council. We purchased this imagery and technology back in 2015 to better our processes through the assessor's office to basically measure and locate new construction within the county more efficiently and being able to put things on the tax rolls. So we are currently going to be on our third flyover with using pictometry. And there's a lot of different ways you can use it, not only just for assessment purposes, but for land use issues, also for fire, for police. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do a presentation. You know, I've been talking with Mayor Bassett for several years about how the town of Edgewood could utilize this technology, because I know at times there's a lot of land use issues, a lot of stuff that you guys need to take a look at, and rather than coming down to Santa Fe and trying to get that information, you have it at your fingertips, as well as in council meetings. You can pull up imagery like this and be able to talk with the constituent and go over land use issues right on the spot here. And so that is kind of the nice thing about technology. And it's not just aerial photography, but it's oblique imagery that you can look at houses at a 45-degree angle, be able to rotate. Also, there's a measuring tool on there to be able to use to identify, you know, lengths, widths, heights, that stuff. So what I'm going to do is just give it over to Daniel Frescas, and he is going to be able to go over it with you guys. And then after that, if you guys have any questions, we'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you guys may have regarding the technology. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council, for allowing us to present this today. I'm just going to go over the presentation that I created on PowerPoint real quick to show that how it's benefited the Santa Fe County Assessor's Office and the county. We obtained it in 2015. We obtained pictometry in 2015, and what it helps us do is it allows us to sketch our properties a lot faster than it is to go out into the field, especially here in Edgewood when we have to drive an hour and 15 minutes back and forth, so we're saving 2.5 hours there. So our appraisers are able to just log in, move the camera all the way down to Edgewood, and the imagery is 3-inch imagery, so that means every pixel is equal to 3 inches. So you'll see here in one of these upcoming slides how accurate that is. Our field visits have cut down by 98%, so right now all of our field visits, or most of our field visits, are through pictometry, and that's something that is a recognized standard internationally with the IAAO, International Association of Assessing Officers. So that's cut down our gas, our mileage, our wear and tear on our vehicles, and a lot of, it's cut down time, obviously. So some of the tools, the beneficial tools are the distance tool, search tool, area tool, bearing tool, and annotations tool. The annotations tool is something that's beneficial not only to the assessor's office, but for land use. They can make annotations on certain parcels. Public Works can measure parking lots and see how much pavement they may need to order. And it's, like I said, it's very accurate. And I'll go over the actual pictometry tools in a moment here. Let's see here. This is just a joke I made for some people I presented to. We deal with irate property owners, and this was one of our appraisers looks like John Gotti. So let's see here. I don't know why I'm not. So this was measured on site here, and we came out with 3,327 square feet. On the heated square footage, and the open frame porch came out to 411, and that's boots on the ground, the appraiser going around the house, spending maybe, I would say probably 20 or 25 minutes. This looks like a pretty big house. And this next one was done using pictometry, using the aerial imagery, and we came out with the heated square footage of 3,323, so it's only 3 square feet off, and then the porch is almost exactly, so it saves time, and the accuracy is pretty amazing. Let's see, so in 2015, we were able to discover 41 dwellings that were not on the tax rolls, which came out to $38 million in value. Wow. And that divided by 3, you'll get your taxable value, and that comes out to $12,700,000. And that's not only going to be on the 2015 tax roll, that's 2015, 16, and forward. And we're still discovering some things around the county, so it's a very valuable tool. And here's some estimates on fuel savings, vehicle savings, and full-time employees. When we first obtained pictometry in 2015, we negotiated not hiring 3 full-time employees and getting pictometry instead. And that 3 full-time employees for that 1 year came out to $136,000. Total annual savings of all of this is $171,000. Over the course of 6 years, with all that, it comes out to $1,030,787 in savings. All right, now go back to the pictometry. So I'm just going to go over some areas I highlighted here in Edgewood. Let's see here. So we've flown so far, as Assessor Martinez just mentioned, 3 times. We flew in 2015, 2017, and then we're going to fly again in 2019. I apologize. So right here is a side-by-side comparison of this one should be 2015, but 2015 is on the right. You can see that there's nothing on this area here. In 2017, you can see that there is something here. This helps us with new construction or any demolition or anything like that in the assessment world. And here we can see kind of the opposite. There was a mobile home here, and now it's gone. And here's kind of what I was talking about, measuring parking lots. This is the Walmart parking lot, and I measured it out. So if they needed to order or see how much, I don't know how to order pavement, but if they needed to order pavement, they can see that they need 3,613 square feet of pavement for that parking lot. Something that the Santa Fe County Fire Department uses this right now, and they label every fire hydrant. And so they're able to label it by, there are certain codes that they have, and they can label it by city, and you can filter it. On the side here, you can see I have these filtered by assessment, public works, and police. So it's pretty valuable it's valuable across the county, really. Here I just made like a situation, I guess, if there was a car accident and they needed to investigate. This would be 61 feet from the stoplight to, I'm pretending that there was an accident right here, from this stoplight to this area here, and then from this stoplight up here, so it would help police as well in that area. Let's see here. Yeah. All right. And here's just a commercial building that I outlined, and I came out with 1,204 feet. So another way it's valuable for police is maybe for SWAT. If there was an incident here, they can rotate around the image. So right now I can see, all right, I don't know what it's called. What's it called?
Oblique.
No, the people that are on the phone that you're asking for help, anyway, they could tell the
Hostages or?
The first responders.
Yeah, dispatch, there you go. Dispatch can tell you, okay, there's a door on the back. Maybe this is happening at night, but they can look on pictometry and say, okay, they can see a window or somewhere that they can have access to anything that's going on, or in this case, there's no access to this building at all. Or there's a window over here, or you can watch out for certain things. It's valuable for SWAT situations also. But that's.
So, Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you for having us. I just want to talk specifically from an administrative side in terms of how this is being utilized inside the office. We've been able to take and look at our budget and realign certain positions based upon the technology that we have. It's allowing us to take certain FTEs that we have and realign them to certain areas. As an example, we've taken 3 or 4 of our appraisers and we have transitioned them into a quality assurance team to be able to provide additional things throughout the office. And so what this technology is doing for us is really allowing us to be very flexible in positioning different staff into different areas. When I look at this from a city's perspective, how could you utilize a tool like this to become far more efficient? And we know that the budgets are always tight, and so being able to take and use technology as a way to cover certain things through EMS, through the fire department, through your law enforcement, public works, public safety, and the whole 9 yards, you could potentially use this aerial imagery system to really help expedite process, it'll become a little more efficient, but then also be able to look at certain FTEs that you may have that you could allocate to other areas. So it just really helps us in terms of balancing the operations, but more importantly, how we become far more efficient in terms of the operations that we're doing. So I just wanted to share that with you. We stand for any questions. This is our presentation, and so if there's any questions that we have, we'll entertain those questions.
Thank you for coming down. The first question, of course, is it's going to cost us something, right? What would it be to the town and how would it work? Is it something we set up here, or is it something we access that you have in Santa Fe?
We would have to go back and take a look at the total number of the sectors that you have. We were approximately about 60 is what we were looking at, primarily coming out from 50 to 60, somewhere in the range of about $60,000, and that includes 4 flyovers. We would be able to set up the total equipment here within your own office as you guys and would be trained on how to utilize it with assistance from us out of Santa Fe moving forward.
Okay. Council have any questions?
So could this be used to access, like, because Edgewood's in Sandoval County and Bernalillo County and other counties, how would that affect?
So the way that it flies over, if you can picture an airplane flying over with a camera system, it'll capture all the areas that we outline throughout the map. Our goal really is to eventually try to take this to other counties as well. There are 33 counties throughout New Mexico, and our goal is to really introduce the technology and help folks become far more efficient so that we're all working collectively together. Yeah.
So to add to that, Sandoval, Bernalillo, did you say Bernalillo County is connected? Bernalillo County has this imagery already, and I know Torrance County is also getting it here pretty soon, so you would just have to work with them. And I think at that point we can all try to work together to try to get on the same contract, or at least share the imagery. That way you don't have to log in 3 separate areas.
What are we looking at equipment-wise? Just our own computers or something to access it?
Yeah, it's web-based, so you just have to log in. They even have a mobile app that you can get on and do they have the same tools that they have on their desktop app.
Okay.
And so basically we would be training you guys, and then you can call us if you need help or anything, if you have any questions in that, regarding that. So we have licenses that we give out. Do you want to talk about the continuous licenses that we have? Currently we have 500 licenses. I think maybe 100 of those are being used right now. You can have 100 concurrent users, which means 100 people can be logged on at the same time, and that's the maximum. Maricopa County in Arizona, I think, has 1 million parcels or something close to that, and they only have like the tier up from us, and they never go over the max. So I think we're pretty safe at the 500 users and the 100 concurrent users.
Mayor, if I could? Yes, sir. From the town attorney, just a question. Have you guys attempted to use this in court and had any success with that as evidence in support of your assessments, or do you have to fall back on a survey method?
We have used these in our formal hearings. We haven't taken them to court yet, but Pictometry does certify the dates on their imagery. So if you had a homeowner that wanted to say that they hadn't built a home and we showed that it did on certain dates, we can print it out, and Pictometry would send us a certified letter saying that this image was taken on this certain day. But we haven't had to take it to court.
Any other questions?
There is also contours on there that are available.
You said something about layering, right? Layering, that you can layer onto?
Measuring widths and distance, that sort of thing. If you have land use issues, basically you can keep measuring those out, get distances and stuff like that. So
That's where I would see it being probably used the most with Tanya in the land use department. Although Chief would probably benefit as well.
that's the issues that you have. Rather than sending somebody out there to see what's actually on the ground, and that sort of thing.
We're working with the county commissioners to be able to utilize. There's always specific questions that they're asking about potential properties. Law enforcement, or if they have questions about that, you can actually take these images and be able to pop them up to see exactly how those things work out. When we just had our flood that occurred, we utilized a flyer. We did an emergency flyover to look at all of the damage that was occurring through all of the different arroyos that happened, and to really look at those properties that were damaged. And we actually were able to send appraisers out there to help those family members with potential cost savings for their issues that we encountered. So
Because you could see how the change from the
you
flood.
can actually see it, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
They will fly with the matter of a day or two. So if there's a natural disaster that happens, we get money to fly, they'll fly, and they'll come and fly in about a day or two, so you can see the changes immediately.
How long does it take between a flyover to have it where it's in the system and you can access it?
In the emergency situations, they flew over, I think, on a Wednesday, and we had the imagery by Friday.
That's pretty good.
But as far as the whole county, I think they start flying, we fly with leaves off, that way they can see, there's no shadows blocking any buildings. They start flying in February, and depending on the weather, if it's cloudy, there can be some delays, but I think we usually get all the imagery by May, so.
So I'm sure there's going to probably be some questions later on. We'll definitely, we need to come back up, Mr. Mayor, and there's, when you guys have your dialogue and talk about the potential uses, and then for you to be able to talk with your administration and see if there's things or questions that we could potentially answer that may help within each one of those specific areas, we'd be more than willing to come up and re-entertain some additional questions.
Maybe the obvious question, but how is this better than like just Google that we have now?
All right, let's see if I can, so what pictometry specializes in is smart imagery. So these obliques that we're going at a 45-degree angle, and the accuracy also is the 3-inch imagery, and they actually offer a sub-1-inch imagery, which is insanely better. You can see hoses on the ground or cracks on the ground, and that would be helpful for public works also. But with this smart aerial imagery, we can actually measure heights of buildings. You can measure distance ground, which uses the topography. Let's see, this looks pretty flat. I don't know if that's going to do anything. Okay, we had an appraiser in our office that was trying to measure a home using Google Earth, and Google Earth uses strictly topography when you're measuring. So he was measuring a home. If you think about, let's think of a square, and you're using topography. Let's say that square is laying on a piece of ground that's like this. If he's measuring from this corner to this corner, he's actually measuring from this corner to the bottom right corner. So that's going to give you a wrong measurement. So with pictometry, you can do both of those, which is the topography and it used to be called the birds, what is it called? That's the bird flies, but it's distance. So it's straight. And then on top of that, obviously the accuracy here. And they have more than what I've shown you here. I just wanted to, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but here are the annotation tools. Let's see, why isn't it showing that? There we go. Where are they? Yeah, it has emojis, so you can't beat that, right?
Right.
So I think the fire department uses these emojis to mark all of their fire hydrants.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Any other questions? Thanks for coming out. Let's keep in touch and kind of figure out what it might be to do it.
We're going to be flying over again, probably in February.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, if we come to agreement, then we would have access to all the levels that we have.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty good up to date.
Want us to come up and kind of discuss that.
Okay.
More definite price and everything.
Right. Do the budgeting in the spring, so if we had a pretty good idea by then what it might cost us to get into it, that would be about the right time for it. Appreciate it, Gus.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Council, so the next item then is our consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve this evening's consent agenda.
I'll second.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded twice to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Thank you, council. Next item is public comments on general matters. Thank you, James. We have Linda Burke signed up.
Hi, everyone. Just a couple quick updates. Really excited to announce that Albuquerque Business First ranked Edgewood number 8 out of the top 15 cities in which to raise a family in New Mexico. So that's always good news. We know how great we are, but it's now being recognized by other places. Working with Route 66 Arts Alliance and the town to develop an Art in Public Spaces project, and that is moving forward. It should be, you guys should start to see some art in the public hallways here around March. They will jury the art, so it's all family-friendly, appropriate kind of pieces. Cowboy Days has been extended to now run all the way through July 4th, so that we'll be including a couple extra events in that. The Field of Arts event and the Cars and Brews, which was done for the first time last July 4th, so that's all good. And Discover Edgewood brochure is still in the works. That should be ready more in January. And the Country Living Expo, I think I mentioned before, is scheduled for April the 27th, and that will be really to showcase the businesses and services that are locally available to people so that they realize they don't have to drive to Albuquerque for everything. By the way, on the number 8 ranking for Edgewood, we got an overall B+ on all of the 6 areas they were ranking: schools, crime, housing, diversity, jobs, and cost of living. So that's pretty good.
Thank you, Linda. Anybody else who didn't sign up wish to speak? Okay, move on to the next item. Next item is matters from the mayor. My issue tonight, I have it in here with Councilor Abraham's email here and stuff to the New Mexico Environment Department. Councilor, I've got some questions for you basically on it. You have access here to some information that we didn't have, namely the whatever resignation or departure of Kelly Jones from the NMED. And I know that's often something you tell us about, that you don't have any access to information from us, but we didn't have that access. I'm curious why you didn't share it with us.
Well, I called NMED to talk to Kelly Jones, and they told me she no longer worked there. So I guess since you guys work with NMED, you could call them as well.
But you found it out. I mean, in other words...
And I sent you a copy of that letter. The email that I sent to Pamela, I sent to you. I copied you on it.
You did. I'm curious, what is this has really got a hold on you. What is the purpose of that?
The purpose of this is that for 3 years now, I have been asking for the condition of the wastewater plant. I've been asking for it to be put on the agenda every month as just an update report of what's going on with the wastewater plant, and I continually just get ignored. So my question is, we're spending taxpayer money, and I just would like to have a little more information about where it's going. And, the deeper I dig, the more information I find. So that's where this
And what are
comes
you
from.
finding?
Well, I'm finding that, we have been in violation of our groundwater quality permit since 2000. I think it the correction should have been made October of 2016. I have found that we have spent an enormous amount of money designing a wastewater collection system, and all the while needing repairs to our plant that have been disregarded.
So if you know that letter came in back in September of 2015, before I was elected.
I did not have a copy of that letter until I started my investigation.
So that came in, so in other words, the town has been aware of those issues that now have us in violation since 2015, correct?
They should, because it should be a matter of public record.
And you were on the council in 15, right?
I was.
So have you been working since 15? In other words, did you hammer the Hill administration with emails demanding that
No.
they fix that stuff?
No, I started questioning this the day that we had a presentation from Tappan Mahoney from Dennis Engineering that came in and told us, did you realize you spent $732,000 to design a collection system? And I was totally unaware of that.
No, we were aware of it.
Well, maybe I was unaware of it, but it piqued my interest. And so I have been looking into this from that point till now.
You'll notice like in that 2015, they have the issue there, one of them here, they have a number of them, but one of them is the impervious concrete pad to dry the stuff on.
I saw that when we got the notice of violation.
And you see it was due to be built and installed by March 2nd of 2016.
Right?
I was only elected March 1st. So I'm curious, what happened, what did you all do before I got here?
We requested a PER to give us direction.
Well, that's another question that comes up. Nowhere in any of this stuff that they set out do they ask for a PER. How come that was the one that was chosen to follow?
I do not know. Again, you know, this was a mayor who was making these, I mean, he's running the wastewater plant just like you are now.
Did you inquire of them what was going on?
I was clueless. I became aware of issues that needed to be addressed when Tappan Mahoney from Dennis Engineering approached us and made some comments at a council meeting. That was the first I was aware that we were spending money that could have been used to repair our plant.
No, that money was designated to enlarge the collection system.
Not according to Judy Kale of the construction department. She told me those requests were so vague, we could have used that money for anything.
Well, you remember that meeting we had there at the community center?
I do.
And you
The one
remember
that-
here, A.G. Richardson up there at that little board?
Yeah.
She wrote on that little board the various things that they look forward to needing getting done.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them here, high load, and it says right here, and that's her handwriting, residential connections, pre-treatment.
Right.
So we're pursuing that. We're pursuing one of the things that Dennis Engineering's expert on sewer set out up here.
Okay, have you consulted EGE or Dennis Engineering since then?
No, they quit, remember?
I remember.
But, so you have an issue with the thing of residential sewer, hooking into residences.
No, not necessarily.
So here we have a thing from 2015, again before I was here. This was a resolution you all worked up back in May that year. And it's basically, it was a resolution authorizing a one-year moratorium on sewer connection hookup fees for residential-type housing units within Edgewood, New Mexico. It's set out here with a signature line for Brad Hill and a Stephanie Muller. And basically, what it says, it's a couple whereases. Anyway, it finishes out down here, it is in the best interest of the town to encourage the disposal of residential wastewater in its wastewater treatment plant in order to increase the flow of cleaner, non-commercial wastewater into the system, which will in turn dilute the concentration of higher-strength commercial waste. Now therefore, be it resolved that the town of Edgewood declares a moratorium on wastewater sewer connection hookup fees for residential-type housing units for the period of 1 year from the date of this resolution was passed, approved, and adopted. So, I mean, this has been contemplated a long time. It's also in the 2008 comp plan that there was a, someday the sewer may extend to residential. Well, someday is coming here now. So you ask what we're doing on it. Here's our 2019 legislative priorities, right? You sat right over here the other morning.
I did.
And our top 3 asks from the legislature all involve the wastewater treatment plant and improving it.
And it does need improvement.
Yep. And we're doing it.
And to me, that was the priority over building collection lines.
But collection lines were one of the things discussed doing.
Were one of the things.
Well-
But collection lines were not part of the notice of violation or any of the requirements to keep our groundwater quality permit in effect.
Well, and you knew that in 2015.
I did not,
How did you not know it then, but you know it now?
because I've been doing research.
How come you didn't research in 2015? What we run into here, Counselor, is a situation where we're trying to deal with the state. I mean, you turned us in on this, correct, on the violation?
I did not.
So we've been having to try to deal with them, and as you know, the woman we were trying to deal with, she is now gone.
Right.
So now we got to start all over with another woman, try to get her up to speed. We told you back in November, the plan was, once we'd communicated with them and they had sent us back what they wanted us, let me talk, this is not a public hearing. So the point of it is that we were going to have NMED come in here to one of these council meetings and explain all the stuff they've found out, all the stuff we've learned, and how we would try to go forward. So that woman is now left. We've got the holidays here, and now we've got a new administration coming in. So in all likelihood, we're going to have a new secretary. So it's going to knock everything back somewhat. I don't understand why you feel the need to hound them down there to come up with a solution to all this.
Because we have a serious deadline that needs to be met by November of 2019, so no, we're not charged fines of $15,000 a day.
And
I
they haven't
know
said
how-
anything about
How
that.
slow, it's in the notice of violation.
I know, and it's been there since 2015. I'm glad you're finally aware of it.
I'm glad we all are.
So here we have, you sent her the email here, and she's responded back to it. Have you got a copy of that?
I do. No, I do not.
Where she embedded her answers.
I have it at home. I did not bring it with me.
And there you are, representing again as a member of the governing body.
I am a member of the
I
governing
know,
body.
but I asked you not to do that because it confuses them who they're supposed to deal with.
And we asked you not to attend all the P&Z meetings when you first got elected, and you totally disregarded us.
I can go to the P&Z because I'm the guy that has to appoint them and oversee and make sure it works. Remember how Randy
That's-
told you the mayor's in charge of day-to-day affairs?
So, in other words, I'm no longer allowed to contact them as a member of the Edgewood governing body. However, because NMED is a governmental agency, subject to the Freedom of Information Act, as a private citizen, I can request this information?
Of course.
Okay, then that's how I'll proceed.
So
in
the problem though is, I mean, why do you, like you say, you dogging her here about Kelly being gone?
No, I'm
Town's
not.
response has been received and the Groundwater Quality Bureau will respond to it. That's what we've all been waiting on.
After I sent my email, nobody knew that Kelly had even left.
Right.
Until I sent my email.
But then you blame us for not providing you with information on a timely manner. We didn't even know she was gone.
Well, what my questions were was if she's gone, who is taking her place and who is going to respond to the letter that you sent? But
And
the
that-
whole point of this, Mayor, is we have gone around and around and around and around. We do not agree. I feel like what you're doing here is publicly chastising me.
Nope.
I am a member of this governing body. You claim that I should know certain things. You should know certain things. You're the mayor. You took office in in March of 2016. How is it that it has taken this long for this to come to light? And would it have had I not started my investigation?
I found out about it when everybody else found out about it, when they sent us that notice of violation.
Right, but you're the mayor. You're running the wastewater plant.
Well, we didn't have any problems going down there. We were working to improve it right along. You've been down there on them visits. You were there when I first got into office. You made a trip down there
I
with
did.
us.
And then the last trip I made is when I saw that somebody had decided to create little unlined ponds to store water, which when I took my tour and the people that I took with me as just a tour, they said, can you do that? And I'm like, I don't know, I guess. I mean, it's being done. It was at that point that somebody said, we don't think this is what you should be doing.
And it had been done before.
They contacted NMED, not me. I only contacted NMED trying to get the information of what the violations were, what it was our groundwater quality permit. I knew none of that stuff. I'm not the mayor.
Mayor's not supposed to know it any more than you are. You've been
should,
around
if
longer than I have.
I know, but you're the one in charge of the wastewater plant, not me.
Well-
I'm here to make decisions about things that you bring to us. If you do not bring things to us to make decisions on, then I have to decide that no decisions are being made.
So what's the problem?
I guess there's none.
There is a
I will
problem.
just continue in the
Keep
future
dogging
to
these
ask
people.
as a private citizen.
You keep dogging them. We've actually had them in here saying, well, who do we deal with?
They have
So
not.
I've got a question for you.
They have not come to council. They
In
have
our
not
response
ever
here-
addressed this council meeting.
In our response here, it asked for, it asks, the question was who's like nominally in charge of it, or who's the name or whatever. Of course, that would be me. Prior to that, it was Steve Shepard. So I got a question for you. You're saying here it was not the town's fault these requirements were disregarded. Who is responsible for meeting the requirements? Do we need to put your name on there?
No, I think that maybe when you replied to them, do you have the letter of what you responded to NMED there?
Yeah.
What are some of the responses? Could you read those?
We responded that as mayor, I would be the one there. Mike Butler and them were the operators, and we laid out how we were going to try to fix it. Now we're waiting to hear back from them to see if that's copacetic or not.
Was there a mention there of this was not our fault? We did not violate something to that terms because this water was contained on the town land?
It was contained on the town land.
But was it stored in a manner that was acceptable to NMED?
It was stored in a manner that was acceptable to them because it didn't run off like the previous operators had done it.
Did they put down a violation because of that?
They just told us the next time we need to do something like that in an emergency situation, that we should contact them.
Okay, well, I would like that letter made public so that everybody can see the way the town responded.
It is public. Everybody's had it out there.
Where is it posted?
You've got it.
I have it. Who else has it?
Whoever else has looked into it.
Whoever else asked for it, which would be only me?
Well, that's what everybody else needs to do. I mean, I don't understand why you keep coming with all this.
I don't understand.
You give
but
us
why
this
you're
52
upset
tips for
that I-
successful public
that
service.
I asked for this.
It says, don't act as a committee of one. Governing a
not
city
acting.
requires a team effort, practically and legally.
I am investigating things as an elected official. I never say I am the town. I never say I'm the wastewater manager. I never say anything other than I am a counselor with the town of Edgewood. Can you give me information? So far, the only one who has failed to provide information is our town.
You don't give us an opportunity.
What is
You
that?
go down there to
what
them,
is that
you go
letter
down there to
dated?
them. How come you don't come in here and talk to
What
somebody?
is that letter dated? Your response? When did you respond?
October 12th.
When did I send them an email?
You had several back in there.
When did I send this email?
This one, particular one was December 11th.
Okay? How many meetings have we had that information hasn't been provided to council?
It's been available. You don't come
Obviously,
ask
I
us.
received it.
How come you don't have an email to us?
I did. I emailed you for a copy of that letter. That's where I got it.
Right. And then how did I respond to it?
You sent me a copy of it.
Yeah, let's go into that a little bit. So I sent you a copy of the stuff you asked for, right? I
did.
put it in the mailbox in here.
After I requested you put it in my mailbox outside.
No, that's not true.
I did have to request you put it in the mailbox outside.
But I made it available to you the same day you asked for it.
Mr. Mayor, Counselor Abraham, I'm going to step in here.
Thank you.
This is going to stop.
Thank you.
Counselor Abraham, you have contacted several different state government agencies at several different times, and we have seen, the town, has seen the confusion that some of that has caused. You've been asked in the past to back off on that a little bit and wait until we get the information from these agencies that we have requested, we, the town. I would really ask that you continue to refrain from contacting them.
Well, I can tell
If you will give me the floor, I will speak, then I will finish.
Thank you.
Secondly, it is really, really important that the town allow both the governmental agencies that we are contacting and the governmental agencies that are working with us to solve the problems that we have had in the past, the time to come back to us and allow us the courtesy of fixing the problems. We have, in past councils, done many, many, many different things with our sewer system. I've been involved in it for many years, and I am very well aware of many of the things that are going on. You haven't contacted me to ask me a thing.
Rolling quorum.
Only two of us. I can talk to you, you can talk to me. When you take it to 3 or more, that's a rolling quorum. I know what the rules are. If you were not present when we talked about extending the sewer system, the need for other kinds of waste in the system, the need for the various parts of the system that were either non-functional or functioning poorly, then I'm sorry that you missed it. But I am well aware of all of them. I am getting a little bit tired of the back and forth. Please cease and desist. If you do not cease and desist, I think I will have to take other action. Mr. Mayor, may we move on?
We may, but
I will not listen to another moment. May we move on?
Excuse me.
My time, it's matters from the mayor. Let me wrap it up. You guys got your matters from the counselors. I have an email chain here where you sent it in and you asked for information on November 26th, and it got to you in that mailbox out there, November 26th. Send on your personal email, then you send on your town email. That's very confusing. It goes so far that you cause us trouble with the state's attorney general with an IPRA request. And so we end up having to pay a bunch of money. We get her stuff on time, and she doesn't even go after it. She won't come into the building and get stuff. She says, send my stuff outside. I mean, there's a limit here to how much crap we need to put up with when she's dogging people for information all the time. We get it to her, and she doesn't even bother to come get it. I mean, staff and people put out a lot of hard effort for no good. And it's getting just, we're tired of that kind of stuff. Somebody needs to let her know that, she needs to work with us and not against us all the time. So with that, I will end my time, and we can move on to matters from the counselors. First up would be Counselor Jaramillo.
Do you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, so this is a hard situation to be following with my comment. but since it's in this order, I'll go ahead and make them. I think, my thoughts about this discussion are, well, I have many thoughts about it, but in general, I would say big picture, this is something that does need to be resolved. I think that the more you discuss and try to come to the facts and the reality of the situation, the better. So I'm not of the opinion that, maybe like Councilor Abrams, where you just don't want to hear it. I mean, that's part of what makes good government, is that each elected member has a voice and each elected member has a background and an opinion and strengths and weaknesses, right? And sometimes there are conflicts between members, as we all know, in government. That's the way it is sometimes. But getting down to the truth and getting down to problem solving, I think, would be very advantageous for all of us. And so if Sherry can put her mind at ease about certain facts or information, and if you guys can work toward, just having an understanding of how these violations are going to be resolved, that would be great. So I guess that's my thoughts on what has just been brought up. And the other comments I had, Juan and I did attend the GFOA conference. It's very good. It presented information and had work groups and things that were really helpful. So I'm glad that Juan was there and represented the town. And also, thank you to staff, mayor, and Councilor Holly, who made a really good elf at the Christmas tree lighting. But thank you guys so much for all of your hard work on that. Dominic and I had a really good time. Enjoyed, the music. Didn't enjoy the mud so much, but, the fire was nice and everything. I just really, really liked it. Also, I thought the legislative breakfast went well. I thought that it was well received by our representative. Representative Schneed also reached out to me, so we'll be trying to meet with him and town staff as well, just to give him an update on our legislative priorities and get him in on the loop since he wasn't able to make it that morning. But I did think it was really great that Santa Fe County, and others, Teresa from the district and others were there from First Choice, etc. And I thought that the whole conversation was very relaxed and people were able to, ideas and talk about successes that the town has had. And I thought that was really good. So I think that's what I had, and I'll pass it on to Councilor Abraham.
Audrey, Sherry's left the room. Next person then would be,
Sherry did?
yes. The next person up then would be Councilor Abrams.
Well, I think I need to take a couple of real deep breaths. That was interesting. I think I don't need comment from, why, thank you. Regardless, there obviously is a very large disagreement between members of the body here on what's going on, when it happened, how it happened, and what we've been doing. However, it should be known that we are taking all kinds of money and investing both in our sewer system and in our collection system, both to improve the quality and quantity and availability of a septic sewer system in our community. And we have been taking those actions consistently for at least the last 12 years. So with that, I'm just going to pass it on. I had a lot of other things, but I'm a little too
Counselor Holly.
upset.
I just have a few announcements I'd like to make. The next Edgewood Community Garden Planning Meeting will be held on January 3rd. That's a Thursday, from 1 o'clock until 2 p.m. at the Edgewood Senior Center. Following that planning meeting, there will be a pest management workshop on gophers and rabbits, and I think I'm going to attend that one. That will start at 2 o'clock at the Senior Center. And also, I've mentioned this the last few meetings, there will be a series of trainings for master gardeners beginning February 7th. So if you need more information about that, please let me know. In addition, I attended the First Choice Community Healthcare Board meeting last evening, and the new facility will be open for use in January. However, their grand opening is going to be held in March. So I think they're afraid of the cold out here in Edgewood, but grand opening will be in March. And there's already talk about a new project in conjunction with First Choice and the county, and we're talking about a wellness center that we're going to plan for that same area that the healthcare clinic is on. Finally, I will be holding my quarterly citizen input meeting on Saturday, January 5th at our community center. That'll be from 10 to noon. And it's just another opportunity for citizens to meet with me and share their ideas, questions, and concerns. Many people tell me they're not able to make it to the council meeting, so I'm giving them another opportunity to sit down with me in person. So hope you can make it, and if not, you can email or call me. So thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Holly. Next item is matters from the clerk treasurer. Mr. Torres.
Mayor, Council, I don't have anything tonight.
Thank you, sir. And that brings us to the action items. And the first item up then is a public hearing, legislative discussion, consideration, action on ordinance number 2018-13, an ordinance of the town of Edgewood opting into the regular local election for the election of municipal officers pursuant to the opt-in requirements of NMSA 1978, section 122-3, 2018. Read my little deal here. I request a certification that public notice of this hearing by the governing body has been posted as required.
It has, Mayor.
Thank you. This is a legislative public hearing called for the purpose of considering ordinance number 2018-13, authorizing the town of Edgewood to opt into the regular local election for the election of municipal officers pursuant to the opt-in requirement of NMSA 1978, Section 1-22-3.1, 2018. The requirements for a legislative procedure differ from quasi-judicial procedures in several important respects. Members of the governing body may conduct their own research into the proposed ordinance. They may consult with members of the public outside the meeting and may advocate for personal opinions and/or those of constituents. The concern is that this hearing be fair in form and substance, and to that end, all public input and governing body deliberations will primarily consist of remarks about the proposed ordinance. References to historical and/or the legal context are appropriate so long as they are clearly related to items in the proposed ordinance. Furthermore, all discussion will be offered in a manner which is consistent with the town of Edgewood's adopted resolution for conducting business. All persons wishing to give public input concerning the provisions of ordinance number 2018-13 being considered for adoption tonight are not required to be sworn in, since adoption of an ordinance is a legislative matter. For those of you wishing to give public input, your input should be confined to the issue at hand and limited in length so as to allow for other speakers to comment as well. So folks, what this is tonight is something that comes to us from the New Mexico legislature. Back in January, they passed a law which essentially did away with the municipal election code. And in its place, it came with this new law that basically gives us several different options. The town as it currently is situated runs on a march of even year elections. Town has to pay for the elections, they pay for the poll workers, stuff like that. The town has to pay to do the all absentee ballots, all that stuff is done by the town. And so what happened then is basically this idea has been kind of bouncing around the last 2 or 3 legislatures. And what it is the idea was you had, in February of a year like that, you'd have a school board election. Then in March, you'd have the municipal elections. And then all through the year, you could end up in a situation where you had conservancy districts, zoning districts, SACIAs, they have boards of directors and stuff. All these little entities would have elections sprinkled out through the year there. One article here mentioned that they were talking about San Juan County up in the north there. One year they had 11 special elections, and all of them have to be paid for and taken care of. So these guys up in the legislature said, what if we put all those little ones, beginning with the municipalities and the school boards and the SACIAs, zoning districts, soil conservation, all them on one ballot in November. So then you end up, in the even years, you either have a presidential like we had in 16, and then 18 you have governor, 20 you have presidential, and so on. This way, the idea is every November from now on then we'll have an election. And so even years will either be president and, U.S. Senate, House, stuff like that. And then odd years you'll have the municipalities, school boards, all that little stuff. So that's what the proposal is. So then the choices given to us are as follows. You can either opt in, is what they call it, opt in and join where, like Edgewood, would have that odd year November elections. Or we can not opt in and stick with our March of even year ones. The problem with that is a lot of it's the cost and the trouble of it. Under the new system, they wiped out the old municipal election code. So under the new system, we're going to have to go with the county on everything. They're going to run the elections whether we stay in the March cycle or if we move to the November cycle. The difference would be is if we join the November cycle, they pretty much take care of everything. We do have to pay a yearly fee that's based on our budget size, and for the town of Edgewood, it'd be about $1,000 a year to the Secretary of State. So this last election basically cost somewhere around $8,000, and then there was the time of the staff and that could have run, they guesstimated around $10,000 to $15,000 in addition to that. If you do that where you pay the Secretary of State, then she pays our county clerk to run the election. They take care of pretty much everything. So it's like 8 to 10 to 12 whatever thousand versus maybe 2,000. So from a strictly cost point of view, it makes sense to opt into it. That's one question. The other question then is they give municipalities an option of whether the current office holders opt into 2019 and shorten their terms, or if they extend to 2021 and extend their terms. So if we choose not to opt in, then we have to come back in January and do a resolution that we send to the Secretary of State that says the town of Edgewood decided not to opt in. We're going to go ahead and pay for our own elections, and we'll have to deal with the consequences of that. If we do opt in tonight, we have to decide whether or not to opt in, number one, and number two, do we shorten our terms or do we lengthen our terms? So that is the issue here tonight. Counselors, go ahead if you want to add your comments in on it. Hang on. Okay.
Comments, I think it's a good idea it would save taxpayer money if we opted in and joined with the county and had them run it.
Okay. So it is a public hearing, so any members of the public wish to speak to this issue? Come on up.
My name is Susan Simons. I am a resident of Edgewood, and I think it's a very good idea that we opt in here and save us some money. But I would also like to say that even before tonight, I thought it was a good idea to go with the shortened terms and have the term ending in 2020 shall serve until December 31st, 2019, and elected November 19 and commence in January 2020, not the longer term. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ring?
Mr. Mayor, my name is Chuck Ring. I live at 04 Derecho Lane in Edgewood, New Mexico. I've been waiting for this to happen in some form or another for about 20 years. This idea of having 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 elections and compelling the citizens, if they wish to vote, to go out that many times to vote is just absurd. I hope that the counselors that are on a seat are seated now will give due diligence to this and great consideration. To me, it just doesn't make sense to continue the way we are. Now, I don't know for sure the best way to go, but I know that I sure would like to see the town save $9 or $10 or even $8,000. And I would love to see us have one election for the general offices that we vote for. The state will have their elections, federal people will have their election, and we'll be able to vote at the same time for them. But
I should also mention that we have our county clerk, Geraldine Salazar, here, and Mr. Randy Audio, our attorney. Y'all have any questions for them?
Okay.
Anything like that?
Only have one other thing to say, and I may be guilty of the same thing. But I can hear, ordinarily, I can hear a rat wet on cotton. I can sit right back there, and I can barely hear you guys, and I can barely hear the other speakers. So if I'm guilty of the same thing, I apologize to you and to the rest of the folks, if they wanted to hear me. But anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ring. Go ahead.
Good evening, my name.
I just wanted to say, just make the comment that at the last presentation, I did make comments and had questions, and subsequently have met with the town administration and have had other questions answered, and so I'm comfortable at this point.
Well, we've got another member of the public up here. Let them go ahead. What's your name, ma'am?
Karen Kaiser, and I live at 30 Futures Loop in Edgewood. I just also wanted to speak in favor of this change. I can't think of a negative. I didn't have any idea it saved that much money, but I just wanted to comment. I think Santa Fe County runs an excellent election, and I've been involved as a poll worker since I've lived in New Mexico. And I previously lived in Broward County that makes the national news for poorly run elections. So it was an honor to, I knew who she was because of her picture on the county website, but I'm impressed with what an excellent job Santa Fe County does running an election. I don't see what we'd have to lose by saving money and having it done in excellence. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak? Seeing none, close the public portion of it. Counselors, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve ordinance number 2018-13, an ordinance of the town of Edgewood opting into the regular local elections for the election of municipal officers. And to hold elections for municipal officers on a regular schedule beginning November 2021 and November 2023.
Motion's been made. We got a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt ordinance number 2018-13, which will have the town of Edgewood opting into the regular local election cycle for the election of municipal officers pursuant to the opt-in requirement of NMSA 1978, Section 1-22-3.1, 2018. And the second part of that is also to extend the terms of the current office holders so that the first election would be held in November of 2021. We'll do a roll call vote, starting here, Councilor Jaramillo.
Aye.
Councilor Abrams.
Aye.
Councilor Hawley.
Aye.
Thank you, Council. The next item on the agenda, action items, is discussion, consideration, action on the appointment of Janelle Turner as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission of the Town of Edgewood for a 2-year term. Councilors, you've got before you the letter of interest from Ms. Turner. As you can see, she has time before on the commission. She served on there at the same time I did. I can speak quite highly of her abilities in that area. I think she'd be an excellent addition as we lose Lorenzo Stanton. He basically retired off. So I'll entertain a motion on this one.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to accept your appointment of Janelle Turner to the Planning and Zoning Commission of the Town of Edgewood.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the appointment of Janelle Turner as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission, Town of Edgewood, for a 2-year term. Do this one on a roll call vote. Start over here. Councilor Abrams.
Aye.
Councilor Hawley.
Aye.
Councilor Jaramillo.
I also have a comment.
Okay.
I vote aye. But is Ms. Turner there this evening?
No, she's not.
She's not, okay. All right. So, but my comment was, I've only recently known her, not at a very deep level, but just from council meetings and things more recently since I've been elected. I like to make up my own mind about people, and I find her to be very intelligent. And I know that she has been for many, many years passionate, I should say, about Edgewood. And so I think if this is an area that she wants to get into, and Mayor, you are making the recommendation, and Councilor Abrams as well, I think if she wants to serve, she should be able to serve. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. We also have another appointment to P&Z, and that would be the reappointment of Mr. Jim Lee as an alternate to the Planning and Zoning Commission for another 2-year term. Mr. Lee, he's retired. He still fiddles around a little bit there at the base, but he's mostly retired. His wife likes to travel. She's a figure skater. Anyway, he likes to do the job, but he likes to be the alternate. So he's agreed to do that again, so we'll have with him there, we'll have a full commission then in January. So I'll entertain a motion on Mr. Lee.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for the reappointment of Jim Lee as an alternate to the Planning and Zoning Commission of the Town of Edgewood for a 2-year term.
Got a motion?
Second.
Motion's been seconded to approve the reappointment of Jim Lee as an alternate to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a 2-year term. Start here, Councilor Hawley.
Aye.
Councilor Jaramillo.
Aye.
Councilor Abrams.
Aye.
Thank you, Council. Next item is a discussion, consideration, and action on the financial report for the month of November. Mr. Torres.
Mayor, Council, you have before you the financial report for the month of November. As you can see, gross receipts still holding the trend. We were up again. I really can't identify what trade was causing it to be up, but we were up, consistent with, the rest of with the current year, up above last year at this time. And I'll stand for any questions.
Council have any questions for Mr. Torres? If not, I'll entertain a motion on this one.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the financial report for the town of Edgewood for the month of November.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the financial report for the month of November. Start over here, Counselor Armio.
Aye.
Counselor Abrams.
Aye.
Counselor Holly.
Aye.
Thank you, Counsel. The final action item then is a draft service request. And Counselor Holly, this involves the North Central Regional Transit District, so I'll let you explain what we're looking at here.
Okay. Well, I will assume that the governing body has all read the draft service request here. I am a board member for the NCRTD, the North Central Regional Transit District. And what I would like this body to do is to approve a request to that district to perform an assessment of the need for demand services in the Edgewood area. And currently, we have a commuter route that goes between Edgewood and Santa Fe 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. One trip up in the morning to Santa Fe and one trip in the evening to bring the folks home. What I would like to see is an opportunity to provide demand services for the population in our area. And I think, especially with the new First Choice Clinic opening in the new year, I think there's going to be a lot more activity there. And what the demand service is for people to make a request of NCRTD to get picked up at their home and taken either to medical appointments or other activities. It doesn't have to be medical. But I think this would be a good service for the community, and it would include Moriarty and Stanley areas as well. So I'm just asking the board to approve this request. NCRTD would then do an assessment to see what kind of need there is in the area. So we just want to get the ball rolling.
And does the bus they currently have accommodate like the handicaps and that?
Yes.
I know some of them, when I was over at that RTPO meeting, they have to have those special buses like that have the ramp, let the wheelchairs up in there and stuff. And like you said, I think it's, as I remember from that meeting, they also go to, well, dental and doctor appointments. I don't know what else, but anyway, so if we approve this, it basically then they come down and assess the needs in this area?
Correct.
And make a decision whether or not they can provide it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So councilors, I'll entertain a motion on this one.
I'd like to make a motion to approve a request for a, let me read it here, to the NCRTD to perform an assessment of the need for demand services in the Edgewood area.
Second.
Motion's been made and second to approve a request to the North Central Regional Transit District to perform an assessment of the need for demand services in the Edgewood area. Start here, Councilor Holly.
Aye.
Councilor Abrams.
Aye.
Councilor Jaramillo.
Aye.
Thank you, councilors. Next item is a closed session. As per motion and roll call vote and pursuant to NMSA 1978, Section 10-15-1, the following will be discussed in closed session pending litigation, specifically City of Albuquerque versus State of New Mexico Tax and Revenue Department. I'll entertain a motion on that.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion we go into closed session to discuss pending litigation, specifically City of Albuquerque versus State of New Mexico.
Got a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to go into closed session to discuss pending litigation. Excuse me. Do a roll call vote. Start over here. Councilor Abrams.
Aye.
Councilor Holly.
Aye.
Councilor Jaramillo.
Aye.
Thank you, council. We're in closed session. Hello, Audrey? Yes. We're done with the closed session, so we're going to wrap this up.
Okay.
Let's go back into open session. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we go into open session, coming out of closed session, and in closed session, only the topic of pending litigation, specifically City of Albuquerque versus State of New Mexico, was discussed. No decisions were made.
Okay, Counselor Holly, do you affirm that?
I so affirm.
I do, for the mayor, I also affirm that that was the only thing discussed and no decisions were made. Now I'll entertain a motion. How do we do it?
Second.
A second, yeah.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and second to come back into open session. Start on that end. Counselor Abrams?
Aye.
Counselor Holly?
Aye.
Aye for the mayor. So, next item then would be calendar review. And Counselor Jaramillo, why we brought you back is you'd raised the issue about possibly moving that next meeting.
Yeah, I thought because of the new year, people traveling and everything, and that month has 5 Wednesdays in it. It's kind of an odd month. That maybe doing something the 9th instead of January 2nd would be better.
Mr. Mayor, the only question that I have is for the town's administration, and that question would be, is there anything that we are responsible for filing that we need to make a decision that early in the month for?
Any public hearings?
Are there any decisions that this body needs to make early in the month to
Tanya,
make
you've
any
got
deadlines?
didn't we have it figured for that? On the zoning change.
The advertisement would have gone out Friday, this Friday.
So it'd be coming out in this paper?
Yes.
This would be the 21st. You'd have next week you'd have to notice something this week about a change to it or something.
Well, we would have to change the ad on Friday.
Right, and then the next one.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this is Wednesday. I guess you could change it.
Mm-hmm.
You do have time for that
Yep.
since you publish it now.
Yeah.
On Friday.
And Mayor, as far as the beginning of the year new issues, everybody's still holding office. There doesn't need to be a new swearing in that you would normally do before your first meeting. You would just do.
Right.
You would.
No, we're all.
You have your normal resolutions at the beginning of the year, but if your first meeting is on the 9th, then you would have those resolutions then.
Right.
Okay.
So, so what would you move it to then, Counselor Jaramillo, the 9th and the 23rd?
Okay.
That puts
The
two.
9th then, and then you think we should skip that 16th or whatever it would be?
Yeah, it gives us a little more time. It's easier when you got a week in between there to get ready for the next one.
Well, that actually puts us on schedule for 2019. It actually shuffles the schedule to be the first, because then we'd skip the 30th, and then we'd have the.
Right, we don't got
4th.
February up there, but it would be over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's the.
Okay, and you think you need 2 meetings? We don't need just one in the middle?
You bargaining for just one, huh? Okay.
Well, no, I'm just asking the question.
We do theoretically have 2 a month.
Just coming from the school board. We only
Right.
have 1 meeting a month. Of course, we have the work session right before the regular meeting and, committee meetings and stuff like that, but, and then some months, like December, we didn't even have a meeting. So I just was asking.
That's cool, that's cool.
Let's do it at 2.
Counselor Holly, you got something?
That'll work for me if that's the wishes of the governing body. But
Well, then
yes,
I guess-
I think we should have 2 in the month of January.
Okay, so the 9th and the 23rd. because we do need to get going on those hearings. We just have to basically change that notice that you put in for this one.
Yeah.
Is that all right,
Skip to the
Tanya?
9th.
That'll work. So do we need a motion on that, Counselor?
Yes, sir.
One of you go ahead and make a motion then.
I make a motion to move the council meetings of the month of January 2019 to the 9th and the 23rd.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded to move the council meetings coming up in January of 2019 to Wednesday night the 9th and Wednesday night the 23rd. All in favor, say aye.
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 That's what we'll switch to then. The other thing, town offices will be closed coming up here Monday. That's Christmas Eve. We're going to shut them at 12 noon, and then they will be closed on the 25th and open back up on, hang on one. Open back up on the 26th, right? Yeah. That will also, that same thing will apply then at the first of the year. They'll be open half-day on the 31st on New Year's Eve, closed on the 1st for New Year's Day, and back in business on the 2nd. That's all I have. Next item on the agenda is adjournment. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, thank you, Audrey.
All right, thanks, Patty.
Travel safely.